What zombies could humanity actually be? A tier list. This shit's a 33-minute video. This shit better be facts.
Zombies we would 100% beat, okay? Understand this. I made a video similar to this about aliens, okay? And I'm gonna be real here. A lot of alien movies
I ain't
feel
gonna lie.
like anti-human propaganda.
Yeah, I feel like I
because
couldn't.
you mean to tell me that
Okay, this nigga talk a little loud. My fault. It's because it's maxed out. That make a lot of fucking sense, actually. But I feel like I could survive a good bit of zombie movies, but alien movies, nah, they got it. Only reason I could survive zombie movies is because you know the capabilities of a human, even when they're like at their max limit. You know? But like the capabilities of a alien, nah, bro.
Navi stand any real chance against humanity. I understand it's home field advantage, but I'm like, brother, could you imagine how much of a menace humanity would be if we could just Agent Orange an entire planet? Anyways, I'm sorry, we're getting into a different rabbit hole, okay? And then I started thinking, I feel like it was alien movies that kind of nerfed humanity, but they are not as guilty because after all, we can just say, well, the aliens have technology that we do not comprehend. Okay, whatever, science fiction.
Different biology, all that.
Zombie movies, on the other hand, have no excuse. I'm sorry, bro. It sends me into a borderline catatonic state when somebody attempts to explain to me how The Walking Dead would even somewhat be feasible in terms of humanity would lose. Brother, one of the biggest plot holes in the entirety of Walking Dead is the fact that they had to skip over how the government fell to zombies. How? Like, legitimately, how? Brother, there's going to be a lot of rants, there's going to be a lot of crass outs in this video, okay? And then I started looking into other zombies throughout fiction. Would us, as humanity, fall to the dying light volatile?
Yeah. I play Dying Light. Nigga, I'm losing to him. Unless you're a fucking track star, my nigga, you not beating no fucking volatile. Them niggas is fast and strong as shit. Nigga, imagine the prime Usain Bolt and Arnold Schwarzenegger chasing your ass. I am dying, nigga. I'm not gonna hold you. Nigga, I'm not beating this shit, bro. If you ever play the Dying Light, whether it's one or the newest one, even the one with fucking Aiden, you understand, bro. You understand.
Would we run victim to the ghouls of the Fallout universe, which are honestly can operate at a level very similar to us and can actually accrue more knowledge than we do over the years? And then I started to think about The Last of Us, because Last of Us Season 2, which was a pretty
The Last of Us could be survived, low-key.
But we'll talk about that later. And then we have 28 years later, a movie that's going to be coming out within the next couple of weeks, and I'm pretty hyped for that. So I've been in a real zombie mood as of late, so I decided to compile a whole list of zombies throughout video games, TV shows, and movies, and rank them on accordance to how likely I believe that they would actually be able to beat humanity. And I think humanity wins against just about all of them. And I'll explain that to you within the next couple of minutes, okay? But if this video is entertaining to you, or you've watched a few of my videos and you find them entertaining, please consider a like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We're kind of in a flow state right now with the channel. Like, we're going pretty hard right now, and I'm pretty excited for it. We've gained 1,000 subscribers per day for, like, the past 10 days, which is honestly insane, and I am forever blessed to be in this position. But we're also trying to get to 500,000 subscribers before the release of GTA 6, and that is only possible with the support of you guys. We got a lot of new stuff coming to the channel, including some of the stuff that I'm doing right now. More videos are going to come out a week, as you've noticed. And if any of these are entertaining to you, please sort of like, comment, and subscribe, okay? And for this video, try to get it to 3,000 likes. I'm not going to be picky. I think 3,000 likes is pretty fair. And with all that out of the way, let's get into zombies I do believe humanity would no diff. Let's go. The Dying Light zombies. Okay, now when we're talking about the Dying Light zombies, let me just say this right now. The volatile...
Even then, Dying Light zombies don't even stop at the volatiles, because they got vultures and that shit. They got screamers, nigga. When did this video come out, actually? 4 months ago. Okay, he not aware of the new shit, so I just use the shit from the base game. Dying Light 1 and 2 zombies still had like running niggas besides the volatile. Not just that, they grouped up on you so much quicker than they do with any other thing. It's like they walk faster in a way. I don't know how to describe it.
Volatile would give us problems. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. However, I don't think we're getting no diffed. If I'm being honest,
No
here,
diff?
like
Nah, we're losing though.
the sheer infinite.
Guns is the only way y'all beating this nigga. Americans have a lot of guns, but not every American, you know? Like, you can still beat them with guns.
Of the U.S. defense budget. Hoorah! Quintuple the defense budget right now, brother. Let's give the F-22 Raptor a brother, okay? Because we need to continuously prove that we are on top, okay?
Right.
We don't have free healthcare, but we have free warfare, dude. Everybody's getting some. Anyways, sorry. That happens every single time we talk about patriotic shit. I gotta go into it. I don't see how the Dying Light zombies were able to beat us. I really don't. Okay, like, yeah, cool. There's a few that can spit venom, dog. We have napalm. That's all I'm saying. Oh, well, when it's nighttime, the strong ones come out. That's dope, bro. But, like, really? You guys get irritated by UV light. Brother, I'm sorry, man. Strap a few of those to some drones, okay? Like, I'm sorry, bro, okay? Black Ops 2 is not only what modern warfare is now, it's actually significantly nerfed to what we actually have, which is kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie, but scary at the same time. When we're looking at the Dying Light zombies, I think they would give us some problems. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, including the reason why the Dying Light zombies thing even happened was a crash of a UFO. And yes, we will be talking about the flood later on in this video. However,
I played all the Dying Light games, and I did not know Dying Light zombies came from the crash of a UFO. Now I'm playing the new game, and I'm over here wondering, I'm like, nigga, how the fuck do these zombies, like, how the fuck can the nigga get bit by a zombie and, like, this low-key a spoiler, so, like, spoiler warning. How the fuck can a nigga get bit by a zombie and, like, firebend and have telepathy and shit, you know? Like, that shit low-key threw me off, because I was like, nigga, what type of zombie can do that? Even normal zombies can't do that shit. I understand why they could spit acid, maybe. Acid reflux, maybe. Like, it's a little unrealistic how far they could do it, but I understand why they could do it. I understand why they could, like, use echolocation and, like, yell to, like, attract more zombies in a way. So, like, I don't know. So, going against Dying Light zombies look like fighting aliens and zombies at the same time. Because, like, the humanoid zombies, like Kyle Crane, which is, like, really the problem. My shit crashed again, by the way. That's why, like, I'll be right back. Alright, my bad, YouTube. Wi-Fi crashed again.
However, before we get into that, the fact that this is an alien bacteria, and I said last time I was talking about it, the idea of a bacteria coming from an alien civilization or a meteorite infecting people, because it would be very similar to, like, the Europeans coming over to the New World and absolutely wiping out 99% of Native Americans just because we had a case of the sniffles, and like a newborn child being hit with an absolute insanely big cup of lean, it just sends them to a stratosphere called the Shadow Realm or the Afterlife. That is very similar to what would happen to us with the alien bacteria. And then somebody smarter than me came in and said, yeah, but, like, alien bacteria wouldn't be able to spread to humans because it wouldn't have evolved to infect humans. And I'm gonna be real here.
That's unbelievable.
Hey, you got me there. I didn't think about that. But think of it as a bioweapon for humanity, okay? I think that's actually a pretty cool concept, the idea that the zombies virus that occurs in, like, The Walking Dead or in Dying Light is meant to be a precursor event to cull the human population for the actual invasion. And in all honesty, bro, that's how I think it would be done. I mean, like, why would they actually, like, fight us in, like, a 1v1 when they can just cull our population with a virus that makes us fight each other? Now, if we're looking at it through that lens, we're probably cooked. However, I don't see no ET, so we gonna take out some zombies, okay? I think we take them out, bro. I really do. No. It's not as easy as The Walking Dead. And a few of the variations would give us trouble. However, this whole idea of, like, well, there is some zombies that have human-like intelligence. Brother, that's adorable. Okay, we're smoking them, dude. I'm gonna put it in I'm gonna put it in meh.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. You gotta put that shit in tough. This is not a good placement for Dying Light.
I think that's
especially
valid.
volatile.
Okay, in terms of spreading, I mean, they have to bite you. At least The Last of Us had it where if you're in like it, you can breathe it in and get infected, and I think that kind of works. And then we'll talk about The Last of Us in a second. I'm gonna put Dying Light in meh. I used to think it was a lot tougher.
It's at least
Unless
tough. It's not
society
even
as
bad.
a whole collapsed, I'm sorry, bro. We're cleaning this up in about a month, bro. I'm sorry. The Great Cough of
But the
2020.
thing is, like, you seen how the niggas in Dying Light was built. They had military personnel out the wazoo. Nigga, y'all not clearing this up in the month, I promise.
Would do
That's
more numbers
overestimation. That's
than
fine.
whatever the Dying Light virus would be. I think we cook them, bro. I think we're gonna cook them. The ghouls from the Fallout universe.
Don't even know about these.
I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. That part of the reason that I'm even including this is I want to rant about nuclear reactors. I do. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let the tism out really quick because nuclear reactors are just big steam engines. I don't know why it took me forever to come to this conclusion, but like here's a little bit of a story time. Here's a little rant. On Ethan on Everything, we're going to discuss how a nuclear reactor works. Okay, how do you think it works? Well, you take some uranium, very radioactive, and then you do some magic to it, and then energy comes off, and then we somehow find a way of capturing that energy, and bada bing, bada boom, sometimes they blow up, sometimes they don't, and we get energy out of it, but it's really, really bad, right? No. Okay, let me explain to you how it works. Okay, so number one, we take uranium off the top of my head. I think it's uranium-235, okay? And uranium-235 is like the unstable stepmother that is really, really into like day drinking from box wine, okay? Very, very reactive, but also fun at the same time, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, the potential is there, but she's just very volatile, if you know what I'm saying, okay? So uranium-235, very, very reactive, okay? So we take uranium-235, and we have to find a way to get the energy from it. And we essentially, in the basic of terms, we take a subatomic hammer, and we more or less kind of like poke the bear, okay? We get some we get some reactions, and that is fission, okay? Fission is like the evil stepbrother of fusion, which we're still trying to figure out, and it's become like the Half-Life 3 of like the energy crisis. Fusion is coming every 5 years, and then it just doesn't happen, by the way. So fission comes from...
I have no clue what you talked about. I'm being 100% honest with y'all. I can't even add my input. I don't even know nothing about ghouls, but I haven't, like, the other things you got listed, you got World War Z. I know a little bit about them. They was moving crazy. Last of Us, I know about them. Walkers, know about them. 28 Days, I didn't watch that movie. I seen, the only thing I remember is like a big ass zombie dick. Dead ass. I didn't watch it, but that's the only thing I heard about. COD, heard about, or I know about them, obviously. Resident Evil, know about them. I don't know what Flood is. Don't know what White Walkers are. Necromorph, don't know that. Hollows, like, from the, I don't know. Days Gone, okay. Days Gone zombies is cool. I don't think they're a real problem, though.
Uranium-235. Okay, and then how do we capture the energy? What if I told you that the entirety of this reaction was putting a hot rock in some water, and that boils the water, creates steam, turns some turbines, we collect the energy off of that, and then we basically have infinite energy, because uranium-235 is also very volatile, but it's also very, very efficient in terms of energy that we can get from it per the amount of... per the mass of it, okay? And then I would describe that to you, and you would think, wait a minute, so it's basically like a super efficient form of a steam engine? Yes! Nuclear reactors are just steam engines, bro. We literally went in a circle. We just went in a circle, bro. It's actually insane, and I'm sorry, but I understand.
Yeah, this nigga actually, he definitely autistic. Ain't a bad thing, though. You know, it's not a bad thing.
We're talking about ghouls, but this whole rant is meant to explain. Brother, nuclear reactors are literally the most efficient way of generating energy, but we don't do it because there's so much money in literally any other form of energy. Well, what about the meltdowns? What about Chernobyl? Okay, let's roll it back. How do we stop ourselves from going into meltdown? Okay, this is what you do. So, okay, the uranium-235 is sitting in some waters, generating energy, generating steam. Okay,
Right.
Now, the ice cubes for this reaction is basically some of these big old coolant rods that are roughly made out of boron and cadmium. And then we drop them in there, and it tells the uranium-235, the unstable stepmother, hey, oh, chill, here's some box wine. and then you could be a problem to yourself and nothing around us. And then it more or less makes it chill. The people at Chernobyl in Soviet Union, and as great as it is, more or less were like, cadmium, ha! What about this cold water? Yeah, bro, it went in the meltdown and absolutely fucked up Chernobyl. Fallout during nuclear reactors is way worse than actually a nuclear bomb. And, okay, that's another thing. No, nuclear bombs have fallout. They do. But it's not as bad as you think it is. Yes, there's dirty bombs, there's dirty nuclear bombs. And when more people talk about, like, fallout, that's more what they're trying to say, scorched earth type of mentality. But in terms of, like, fallout, honestly, bro, you wouldn't have to wait 200 years to restart society, because it's like, well, what about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Nobody can live there now. No, brother, people can live there. People do live there. I could literally take a flight to the Hiroshima and Nagasaki Memorial. Well, there's radiation. Yes, there's radiation. It's not as bad as Chernobyl. You want to know why? There is a vastly different type of reaction that's going on when we're talking about a nuclear reactor than a nuclear bomb. Yes, nuclear bombs are like, I'm trying to find like the best way to do it, the same thing I did with uranium-235. Imagine if instead of uranium-235 being like the unstable stepmother with a box wine, this is like the abusive stepdad with Jack Daniels. That's essentially what the difference between a nuclear bomb and a nuclear reactor. This one's so reactive. He's throwing hands, brother, and you're getting beaten up like a redheaded stepchild from a second marriage. That's essentially what happens. And that is the difference between a nuclear bomb and a nuclear reactor, roughly in my terms. Okay, and how does this apply to Fallout?
Yes, yeah.
I understand that nuclear winter would absolutely no-diff us, but that's a different thing. Brother, the ghouls would be turned into an absolute... the amount of women that were absolutely going crazy for this man. And not to throw shade here, okay? I think his name is Walton.
Give me a second. Like back in
Goggins. Even without the makeup, this motherfucker looks like a ghoul. He just does. I'm sorry. He has a very ghoulish features, bro. His hairline has receded so far north. You should be naming it after the Stark family. Okay? That's the truth. And game is game. I'm not denying that. I look fugly in comparison. But I'm telling you, bro, the ghouls more or less would be cleaned up within a couple of years. Yeah, a few of them are feral. Okay, that's dope. Do they have super strength? Not really. Yeah, not really. Oh, yeah, bro, they don't feel tired. Okay. Done.
No zombie really feels tired.
What are you talking about, bro? Get out of here. Dude, I'm sorry, man. We would clean up the ghouls so quick. The only thing that you can give the ghouls is that they have some level of organization where they can have their own societies. But outside of that, I'm going to be honest with you. The ghouls, we got this, bro. They would be integrated into society so quickly, it would barely be an inconvenience. We got this, bro. World War Z.
They a little
brother,
crazy.
My day was ruined when I found out that World War Z is based off a book, and the book is way different than the game. Not the game, than the movie. So, actually, speaking of the game's actually closer to the book than the movie is to the book. I know it's kind of confusing. But the book of World War Z is essentially all the places that Brad Pitt went in the movie. It is a isolated story for somebody in the world. So there's like somebody in India. There's somebody in the United States. There's somebody on like a naval aircraft carrier trying to figure this out, and it's piecing it all together. And I think that would be way better as a TV show than what we got as a movie, because Brad Pitt just has the clearance to go anywhere because he's Brad Pitt and the aura is immaculate, bro. Fight Club was a great movie.
It was a great movie.
World War Z zombies. The swarming potential.
Is it crazy to say that Brad Pitt top 5 white guys of all time? No? Good.
Potential of the World War Z zombies is absolutely insane, and population centers would be reduced to a hellscape hilariously quickly, and that's the truth. However, this is where I need to ask the question. Where does starvation come into play? Because that's something I've only seen really tackled with like 28 Days Later and those zombies. The Ragers, I think they're called. Yes, those actually have a pretty, I have a game plan for that. When we're talking about the World War Z zombies, if starvation is not a problem and they keep on coming and over again, I'm going to be real here. That's very tough. That's very tough because we would essentially have to torch every single population center. And as somebody who lives what would be described in the country, it would suck, but it wouldn't really apply to me, brother. I'm sorry, man. Living in population like, I'm sorry, another side tangent. If I have to hear somebody say, "Oh, okay, you go live in the country," I'm gonna go live by where things are actually happening, brother. That's cool and all, but at the same time, it's like, I would rather live in the middle of nowhere than Gotham City, bro. I'm sorry, man. Like, the idea that you could walk around it's fairly normal that you could get robbed. And I understand that's not every city. If you're living in a place and you have the ability to go to other places, okay? Only in this scenario. And it's like, oh yeah, bro, you might get robbed. Brother, why do you live there then? Well, what are you talking about? Well, the opportunities are here. Okay, say that then. If you have the ability to live somewhere where you don't have to be robbed, and in every single apocalyptic movie, you get scorched off the planet or you're attacked by zombies, I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Very tough. But I think we would be able to do it, but we would lose a solid 70% of the world population, if I'm being honest here. Let's move on. The Last of Us zombies. The clickers, all of them. Now, brother, we could be cooked.
I'm gonna just be honest. If he puts The Last of Us over volatiles, list immediately becomes less valid. I ain't gonna lie. Last of Us zombies, clickers and all, is way easier to deal with than volatiles. Clickers, they some fucking problems. I ain't gonna lie. I played The Last of Us. They demons. But volatiles are completely different. I'm a zombie game fan in general. I play every zombie game. I played Dead Island. Dead Island zombies probably the easiest to deal with, by the way. Dead Island, Dying Light, World War Z, Days Gone, fucking DayZ, The Last of Us, fucking all the COD zombie game. I ain't play all of them, but I play COD zombies. What else? Just pretty much a general amount of them. So I know, as someone that played every zombie game, I got all 3 of the Dying Light games. Volatiles, even Dying Light 1 volatiles is beating clickers. I ain't gonna lie.
We might be cooked. Because the initial spread of the Last of Us virus was done.
How it spreads is crazy, though.
Okay, yes, it was a fungus that infected like grain storages and people that ate a certain amount of bread or a certain amount of contaminated grain. And grain is used in just about everything that is considered bread, and even sometimes you wouldn't even think about. And it's a cordyceps that is very, very durable, even surviving through the baking process. And you ate that, brother. You're losing a very large amount of the population of the U.S. very, very quickly. Because let me tell you something about the U.S., okay? After World War II, we essentially subsidized major industries in farming. So that's how we got the cheese caves that we have literally like, I think it's like 100,000 miles or 1,000,000 miles of cheese caves underneath the United States, and we have absolutely no clue what to do with that cheese. That's how Got Milk got started. You ever notice when you hear Got Milk, it doesn't actually apply to any specific brand. It's just milk and dairy in general. And you wonder why there's cheese on everything? Is because certain companies can get a subsidy from the U.S. government for using cheese because we actually have a surplus of cheese, and it's continuingly be a problem. We did the same thing with corn because cornstarch was used as a preservative during World War II, and we've essentially spent every single day since World War II preparing for World War III. Brother, we are the crazy prepper cousin that your mom worries don't be hanging out with too much because you might catch the mind virus. Okay, that is essentially what U.S. became after World War II. And part of that applies to grain. We have one of the most effective, like, agriculture, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Some of the best agriculture on the planet, okay? So if we got infected with a virus or a cordyceps fungus that got into our grain and would infect anybody that was eat this grain, we're talking about a major part of the global supply chain would be tainted and causing, you guessed it, a zombie apocalypse. And I'm going to be honest with you, if that were to happen, we might be cooked.
This nigga is tripping, bro. This nigga, we are cooked if it's The Last of Us zombies. But Dying Light, we're fine. Dying Light is fine. Like, nigga, Fuck whatever this nigga talking about. Even Dying Light 2 zombies are demonic. And this, he's always talking about Dying Light 1 in specific, I guess. But even then, bro, he ain't even say, it doesn't even say Dying Light 1. It just says Dying Light as a whole franchise. You got them at meh? Nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I need somebody to vouch for me. Dying Light zombies are obviously at like just the. It's not even like all the zombies in Dying Light are demons. I ain't even saying that, but the ones that are demonic enough to carry them up to the Last of Us level. Somebody need to vouch for me, please, please, bro.
He might be cooked there because the initial spread would be so far out that it would cause the collapse of just every single community and government and society as we know it, okay? Now, I think of the We Are Cooked, it is the easiest to solve. Actually, do I keep it in We Are Cooked? I'm going to keep it in We Are Cooked. I might move it down. But I'm going to say We Are Cooked because the sheer amount of spread it would have, population centers would be decimated. Even local places would be decimated unless you had a farmer's market. But even then, you might get a more concentrated dose. But I'm going to put it in We Are Cooked just because of how many people would be infected. Okay, we might be cooked. The Walking Dead. No, brother, we are absolutely smoking these people.
They are light work. I ain't gonna lie.
Absolutely decimating them.
The Walking Dead Telltale, that's another zombie game I played.
How did the global government lose to the walkers?
Don't know.
The walkers, bro. The walkers sounds like a derogative term that would get you canceled in the early 2000s. Not even now where like weekend strengths, like you can get canceled for saying a lot. But no. Walkers sounds like a slur if I'm being real here, okay? And when a 135-pound petite woman can stab you through the head and one-sight you with a dull Bowie knife, I'm sorry, dog. You are nothing. We would have The Walking Dead packed up in one weekend. Brother, if it happened on Friday, Memorial Weekend, we would have that shit done by Monday, bro. It would be a national holiday that would be celebrated.
The only real problem about The Walking Dead in general is, like, just dying in general makes it zombie. But even then, like, doesn't matter. They don't have no type of unique powers. They walk slow as shit. They ain't stronger than any normal human. You know? So, like, only difference between them is that they're like kind of never ending. But like even then, how does that much people get turned to a zombie to begin with? I understand, boom. Say for example, a bunch of dead bodies came back to life. That's zombies. Nigga, most of them are overly decayed. Well, realistically speaking, most zombies in Walking Dead wouldn't even be able to like come back to life because they would be so decayed to the point where they couldn't move. You know? So like, yeah, we would have a bunch of living dead people underneath us, but that wouldn't even really be a problem.
For generations. It would be adopted by the NRA and the 2A community so quickly, bro. I'm sorry, dude. I'm putting The Walking Dead, and we got this. The ghouls we would adopt into society after culling their population, the walkers would be extinct. With, well, what happens if you die and then you turn? I'm sorry, bro. There would be a subscription service. There would be Life Alert. But instead of Life Alert being, help, I can't get up, it would be, oh, he's about to go. Brother, that's what would happen. Life Alert would get turned into like Life Alert would go dark real quick. That's all I'm saying, dog. People would be sweating when they became 65. That's all I'm saying, bro. We got this, though. Not even a question. The 28 days later zombies. I'm going to call them, I'm going to put the name of them, but for the sake of this, I'm going to call them Ragers, okay? Raid zombies. This one's tough.
I don't know nothing about them, I ain't gonna lie.
The seer of how fast they get infected is a problem, and the amount of different ways that they can get infected is there. The speed that they come at you is also a big problem here. However, okay, as a patriot, hoorah, okay, as an American citizen, hoorah, okay, I just gotta bring this up. I want to see how America handled this. I'm sorry, bro, the amount of times I gotta see people from the UK be like, oh, sweet heavens, what are we going to do? Brother, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The 2A, okay, is coming in clutch over here. Now, I think we would suffer a lot but I don't think we would suffer as much as literally anywhere in the UK. That's all I'm saying. I think Australia would do better than the UK.
The thing is, most places would be cooked in a situation that's not America because of their gun laws. Like, oh, y'all got a safer population to live. Well, nigga, we ready for a zombie apocalypse. I'm not big up in America whatsoever. I ain't gonna lie. America sucks. They need to get their gun control fixed. Because nowadays, niggas think, oh, say, for example, boom, nigga, I'll beat your ass. Nigga, I'm not doing no wrestling. I'm shooting you. Like, bro, what? Gun control needs to be a thing. Niggas getting too confident behind them.
Actually happen. That's all I'm saying. Because the Outback, you can more or less just be there and nobody would notice, bro. It is like I don't even know. Like the unloaded patches of land in Minecraft where people just be like, wow, this is here. Anyways, let's move on. America would have this one packed up. I'm sorry. We have... I want to go over this. So there is a thought experiment that goes on whenever we're doing like defense budgeting, and it actually is, if a zombie apocalypse happened, what would the US do? And we have come up with some absolutely insane ways of like fixing it as like a thought experiment.
Right.
28 days later, I think we would lose a large amount of the population, but the one thing in 28 days later that they specify that tells me that we would eventually win is the fact that the zombies can starve. The fact that the zombies can starve to death makes it that easy. Oh, well, it takes a long time. Brother, we would be able to wait them out. Society would crumble, but it would be rebuilt fairly quickly. Within a year, this would no longer be a thing. COD zombies. Okay, when we're talking about COD zombies, okay, there is a Lovecraftian element that has to be brought up here. The fact that the entire thing is orchestrated by the Shadow Men, which is like a precursor Lovecraftian deity race of people that are combing through the multiverse, and then there's this thing called ether that causes corruption, and the ether corrupts some humanity in the multiverse that we discovered during World War II, and then bada bing, bada boom, zombies are murking everybody. Right. And then you have abominations that are like Cthulhu babies.
Right. I don't even know how to
be real here. We are cooked. Like, yeah, no, we are cooked. We are more cooked with COD zombies because of the fact that this is a multiversal level threat. And we do not got pack-a-punts here. Actually, we might do. It's called air support, bro. Dude, if you want to get a hit of testosterone, look up Soul of Force and what...
I ain't gonna lie. If COD zombies were at the scale of Walking Dead zombies, we overly cooked. I'm not even gonna lie.
What that means. The fact that we just do shit like that. There is literally a term in like how in modern warfare of ayo bro, so am aura, so a force right now. That's essentially what it is. However, zombies, Call of Duty zombies, we are probably cooked because of the sheer amount and variance of them. Yeah, bro, we're cooked. We are cooked, if I'm being honest. The T virus from Resident Evil.
Can't even really. I don't even remember any notable zombie from Resident Evil besides the Nemesis. I ain't gonna lie.
We would have this packed up. We would. I'm sorry. We just
Low-key,
would.
Yeah,
now, would we lose a few cities? Yeah, bro. We would lose Raccoon City, but like the real world equivalent of Raccoon City is like Detroit. And I'm going to be real here. If we got to purge Detroit to rebuild it afterwards and bring it back to its former glory, so be it. If I had to give up another city, I would give up Flint effective immediately, bro. Yeah, we need to start over on there. We need to start over. When we're talking about Resident Evil, yeah, when you're going into the bioweapons, into the borderline supernatural ability.
Why does it still say Dying Light right here? I ain't gonna lie. I don't know why I even realized that. But I promise I ain't got that shit right there. That's
of some of these bioweapons. Then it's tough. But at the same time, dog, let's not pretend like the U.S. military in this universe is not like directly funding it. I'm gonna put it in very tough. And actually not even that. I'm gonna put it in tough. The fact
I ain't gonna lie, you gotta have, if Resident Evil is that high, with just mainly this nigga being their problem, Dying Light gotta be high. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna keep vouching for Dying Light. Niggas could be mad and like, nigga, shut up, but bro, Dying Light needs some more respect than this at least.
the society still operates relatively similarly to how it does here inside of the Resident Evil universe, to the point where they're like, oh, look, at another outbreak happened. Yeah, tough. Tough, but manageable. The Flood from Halo. Brother, we are cooked. We just are cooked. I talk about the Flood a lot on here, and I almost didn't want to bring them up on here, but the reason that I did is because the Flood is kind of a zombies virus. It kind of is, in truth. We're losing. You want to know why? Because if I had to explain what the flood is in basic terms to somebody who doesn't know what it is, which I'm sorry, you should know at this point, pop culture.
I don't play Halo.
The flood is essentially the remnants of a forgotten god that created life as we know it through genetic engineering. And when their life forms rebelled against them, they turn themselves into a dust that infect their dogs. And then when they ate their dogs, they became zombies that took out the entirety of organic
Why the fuck did they eat their dogs?
life. And in fact, it is implied that there's more of the flood in the universe than there is normal organic life, because in the ancient times, humanity went to war with the Forerunners, and the Forerunners were going to war with humanity, but at the same time, humanity was fighting off the flood, and then the flood more or less disappeared for 10,000 years, and it's said that they went out and conquered the rest of the universe, and then they came back and nearly wiped out everybody else, and then they made the hollow purple rings, otherwise known as the Halo rings, which essentially hollow purpled the entirety of existence. Which, all that to say is, yeah, bro, Minecraft save quit the universe, reload from last save. Good luck, everybody else. Humanity, good luck. And that's essentially what happened. We are cooked if the flood happened. We are just cooked. Same thing with aliens. We are just cooked.
Yeah.
The White Walkers from Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's where they're from.
The amount of plot armor that came into play when they actually beat the White Walkers is hilarious to me. Like, hilarious to me. I understand that if you take out the Night King, then everyone else is rendered completely and utterly useless. And I think we would figure that out relatively. Actually, no. I don't know if we would figure it out quickly. However, ooh, that's tough. That's tough. If we had modern warfare with the White Walkers, would the White Walkers be able to use it? And they could. Ooh, they could. That could be a problem, actually, if we think about it, because they can use, like, what would be modern tactics to that time. If you gave them our warfare, would they be able to do it? Maybe. Maybe they could. However, as a retort, we would be able to contain the situation infinitely better than the North was able to with a big ice wall. Why? Brother, I'm sorry, air support, dude. Air support is the most broken thing in modern warfare, to the point where everyone else is trying to get something near the level of what the U.S. has. That's just how it is. Well, I mean, like, brother, you could name one jet that performs similar to what we have. We just have 15 of what you have one of. I'm sorry. We're number 1, 2, and 3 in the biggest air forces on the planet. Just saying, bro. Just saying. Okay? And I think that would come in clutch when we're talking about the White Walkers. Unless they were able to adopt their own version of the F-22 Raptor. But in that case, that's a different thing. I think we'd be able to pack it up, but I think it would be very tough. The amount of plot...
Bro, this shit low-key pissing me off. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all niggas know why. I already said it. I didn't want to keep saying it, but look. This is the only thing he got in the meh category. Everything else is tough. Or, like, these two, I don't know about this. I expected this to be down here. He got this one tier above that. He don't even got that tough or very tough. This nigga got this shit at meh. Dying Life, I gotta see the comments, bro. Exactly. This nigga gets it. Exactly, right? Right. These niggas get it. The Dying Light, the virus was created by humans to be used as a bioweapon, which ended up going out of control. Okay, I was like, UFO, I was confused by that. Mm. Right? You were just screwed if you were in Quran, so they already beat the virus in the last step. Would have just been in the area.
Buddha bless this baby.
Red Gamer, thank you for the follow, son.
Radgamer78 is now following.
Why is that shit over my face though? Hello, beautiful. It's good, man. How you doing? I moved this shit. A Rad Gamer. I didn't read that shit right. There we go. I moved this right here. Nah. See, look, I knew I wasn't the only one that thought this nigga was like underestimating the fuck out of like Dying Light, bro. That's crazy.
Armor that it took for them to beat the White Walkers, because this is literally something that if they're by any type of dead body, they can resurrect it by mere presence alone. Yeah, bro, that's tough. But at the same time, we wouldn't. Bro, oh yeah, drones, dude. No, drones would be coming in clutch too. Ugh! I'm gonna put it in very tough because of how supernatural their abilities are. But I'm gonna put it. The Necromorphs from the Dead Space universe. We're cooked.
I remember. Okay, I haven't
cooked.
played Dead Space. I heard about it.
An alien society that sent a meteorite here called the Monolith that influenced evolution for humanity from us being little monkeys, turning us into humans, and then guiding us into the stars. And then when we went into the stars, we ended up basically seasoning ourselves for what essentially was the biggest predator in the galaxy. And then what happened after that? They turn us into Brethren Moons. When it gets to the point that the only thing that kept us from losing to the Necromorphs is literally just plot armor alone, then in that case, we're cooked. I'm putting it in we are cooked. No question. The Hollows from Dark Souls. Okay, now this is
See, I knew the Hollows was from Dark Souls, bro. I ain't gonna lie though. Like, most of the world is hollified in like the Dark Souls universe. So I ain't gonna lie. I think we could deal with that, low key. Like, they got knights and shit, but like, you know, it's not a game over. That's
very interesting one. Because if we were in the Dark Souls universe, death is something that will happen over and over again, but you lose yourself to the world and not to a zombie. Everybody is destined to be a hollow, but if you die a certain amount of times, then you become the hollow. So it would be just a slow fall into nothingness, bro. And that is like the sadness of the Dark Souls universe, is it's the inevitable of like fall of death. Even though death, you will not have the rest of death, you will have the torment of being taken or having death withheld from you. It's like the torment of dying, but the withholding of the relief of an afterlife, which is just insane, bro. Okay? And unless we have a way of mending the flame, there's really no way to beat it. So we're cooked, but we're not cooked in a way.
What is good, Matus? How you doing, twin? Welcome to the stream. Do you use your right hand or left? What you mean by that, brother? What you mean by that, bro? What do you mean by that?
Where we would lose, it's just there's no way to win. And that's the issue, bro. Am I going to move any of these down? I'm going to move Last of Us down one, because if we're comparing, literally every other one of these is an inevitability. Days Gone Freakers. Okay. Days Gone. Love the game.
Bro.
Very, very.
Days Gone zombies. I ain't gonna lie, they get a tough category, in my opinion. Don't play dumb with me, uncle. Why are you calling me uncle, nigga? I'm not your uncle, bro. I promise I'm not your uncle, bro. We all know you freaky. What you mean we all? Who are you? Matus, vouch for me, bro. Matus, I ain't freaky, bro. You know this, bro. Come on. I ain't freaky. But
underrated. However, bro, they can just never catch a break. They released a remake right next to the Oblivion remake in Expedition 33. That has literally no chance of succeeding, and I want to see what the numbers were. Good luck, buddy. But when we're looking at Days Gone, the fact that they can swarm you like the zombies from World War Z, but they can starve and get dehydrated similar to the zombies of 28 Days Later. But the one edge that I do have to give Days Gone is the fact that they can infect the wildlife. If you have a zombie,
you don't really hear nothing.
Infect the local
low key though, you don't really hear shit about zombies being able to infect the wildlife. So that is a little crazy. I haven't finished Days Gone, but I didn't even know that.
then you're cooked. Then you are very simply just cooked.
This nigga,
Now,
I ain't gonna lie, Days Gone is really not even talked about enough. Whenever, like, you're just not ahead of the game. For sure, bro. For sure. But, nah, Days Gone not really talked about enough, bro. Like, in terms of zombie games, niggas barely talk about this shit.
I do believe humanity would be able to put a lock on this fairly early on in the beginning. And in terms of the initial spread, it's implied that it was more or less like a failed biogenic, like engineered thing. And in that scenario, that's tough. I'm going to put it in very tough, and I'm
They
going to
talk
put it
about it all the
above,
time?
actually,
I ain't-
near the same
shit,
level
I
of The
barely
Last of
made
Us,
it
because
past the
Last of
beginning.
Us,
I ain't
it
gonna lie.
is an airborne virus. When we're talking about Days
'Cause it was-
Gone, it would
Okay,
be...
I played Days Gone up until, like, I forgot what mission it was. I don't know the name of it. But I remember it was, like, when I found this settlement of people, and, like, we had to deal with raiders and shit. That's the only... I played it up to that point because it came off of my PlayStation for, like... It came off of PlayStation Plus, so it locked me out of the game, you know?
the animals that are getting infected and people getting got in the initial spread. Last of Us, in terms of everybody getting infected early on, that would be the problem. But I'm going to put Days Gone at very tough next to The Last of Us. And there you go. Those are zombie viruses and zombies.
So, boom. Let me show you this nigga tier list real quick. Like, okay, since I got, like, somebody in here at least, let me know if I'm tripping.
Of Us, it is an airborne virus when we're spread. Last Gone, same level of The Last of Us.
So, boom. This is like Dead Space, Halo, COD, Elden Ring, The Last of Us, Days Gone, World War Z, White Zombies or whatever. 28 Days, Resident Evil. And, like, you know, does expect. Look where this nigga has. Look at where this nigga has Dying Light at. This nigga think Dying Light is easier to deal with than 28 Days in Resident Evil. And even fucking DayZ, bro. Or World, whatever this shit called. How does it feel to know you wasted 35 minutes watching a video about zombies instead of perfecting your jerking technique? It's all about the priorities. Yo, whose mans is this, bro? Nigga, who are you? Why are you talking to me in this manner? W video from my nigga Ethan on everything. W video.